This meeting is now being recorded.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Link conferencing. Please enter your passcode followed by the pound or hash key, and I'll connect you.
So what I'm going to do is,
Please hold while I confirm your passcode. Thank you. Your passcode is confirmed. When you hear the tone, you will be the sixth person to join the meeting. This meeting is now being recorded.
all right. Thanks, Jamie. We thought it was Tracy that hung up on us. We're getting a little bit of feedback from you guys, though, so if you're able to put your phone on mute, that might be helpful. We can mute everybody from this end, but if you can do it from your end, that's helpful. So we have today here on our community of practice call, we have Laura.
Hi, everybody.
And me, Wayla. And we are happy to have Monica Harrington here. She's our new training coordinator, so she's here on the call with us today, too. So welcome, Monica.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
All right. So it looks like we have Heather here from StarPoint. I'm going to put you all on mute for now.
You just are getting a lot of feedback.
All guests have been muted.
But I will unmute you in a minute so you can talk. It looks like we have Heather from StarPoint, Jamie and Tracy from Blue Peak, Melinda from Blue Sky, Pat from Community Connections. Do we have anybody else that's not listed on the thing? If you want to type in the chat, that'd be great. Okay, not yet. So let's go ahead and get started with our information today. Just a reminder of our objectives for our call today. We want you guys to be able to learn from each other, to gather information from us and things that apply to all of the communities. We want to share successes and questions and concerns. We want you to be able to benefit from training and technical assistance between our visits. And we want to include any community partners to hear the information on these community of practice calls. So I know that Pat has Alicia there with her, service coordinator. So welcome, Alicia. We're glad that you're on the call as well. Some of you may have other people there in the room with you as well. So we're happy for you all to be here. So today we're going to talk about where we are. We're going to talk about the universal training. All of Cohort 2 has completed the universal training, so yay! Happy about that. We're going to ask you about your implementation plans and where you are regarding implementation. We're going to talk a little bit about translation, Spanish translation in particular, and have some community sharing, and then gather any other additional information or hear from you, your questions. So, Monica is going to talk to you about where we are.
So I just thought it would be a good idea to kind of look back and refresh everyone's memories or get on the same page of where we are in this process with specifically with this Cohort 2. So just to look back and remember, Cohort 1 is in the process of completing their quality IFSP outcomes tool. And these communities are in the final stages of learning about that and implementing that process. This is our last community of practice with Cohort 1, so everyone as a group will be next month. And that will also be the first time that Cohort 3 will be joining the community of practice calls, and we will all be on the call together. So also everyone in Cohort 2 has completed their universal training, and all communities have submitted their global outcomes needs assessments to their providers and community members, and that information is being processed and looked at also. Cohort 3 is in the process of scheduling and completing their 2-day community mapping, and we are starting those weekly phone calls and connections with those team leads for Cohort 3. So all trainings happening in communities are happening, and that universal training sections have been recorded and are on the Padlet. So just remember to access and use the Padlet. It's there for everyone to post things, share information, refresh their minds, and it's supposed to be a helpful and useful tool for you guys to share that information.
Right, and this link that is listed here on this slide is the Padlet for the universal training specifically. So you all have your Cohort 2 Padlet, and then you have the universal training Padlet as well. So again, if you need those links, contact your early intervention team lead, and we're happy to get that to you.
Okay, everyone. Hi, this is Laura. We're going to talk a little bit more about the universal training. I know that you've never heard me talk about training before, so this will be something really new. So everyone can access those training sections on the Padlet, as Monty just said. I want to get a little feedback from you as to how you've used them. Mm-hmm. And because we're trying to make this something that has shelf life for you, that you're able to use as new service coordinators, directors, and providers join your community, that you can use to train your community partners, that you can use in its entirety, that you can pull apart. We want it to meet your needs. So I'd just like to get a little feedback now that it's been up for a while, and I know some of you have been using those sections, as to what you've been doing with them.
So I'm going to unmute everybody. If you, while you're not talking, if you want to mute yourself, you can either use your mute button on your phone, or if you don't have that, you can press *6 to mute and then *6 again to unmute.
So you'll notice that I have some guiding questions.
All guests have been unmuted.
I have some guiding questions up there. They're really hard. I love this. What is it about that universal training you really love? I don't understand this. What in the heck is going on here? And I really need this. Like, this is all great and fine, but this is what I need to make this work for my community. And then we also have one other option that is what Padlet with universal training materials. Okay? Hopefully no one is in that category, but it's possible. So let's go ahead, and we're just going to start with Heather at Starpoint. Heather, I just talked to you yesterday, so would you tell us a little bit about what you've done as far as accessing those materials, if you've used any of those, and what you could use from us to make those useful in your community?
I have used the original Padlet from the training, but I haven't used the one that Wayla just described.
Okay. So you haven't used the pre-recorded ones. You've used the first curriculum.
Right.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about how you used that.
Used it in terms of, sort of a reminder from when we had, since we had a gap between when we did our training and when we went live. Just as a refresher, when we were getting started at the very beginning of 2017, transitioning over.
Okay.
And, the Cohort language, just reviewing some of the scripts for talking with families and explaining it.
Mm-hmm.
And then doing some modification to using the handwritten form and making some modifications to have a little more room to write in.
Yeah, so you expanded some of those fields.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, great. Anything else, Heather, that would be helpful for you as far as getting people up to speed on the Go For It training?
I think the thing that I seem to be finding that's the biggest challenge is that some of my providers seem a little intimidated when they're reporting results to families, having a little bit of trouble with the transition in terms of, how to describe to families when there is a slight delay or a very slight delay, and what to put in that comments section.
So is there something that you can think of that we could add to the training or provide as far as technical assistance that might help with that?
Just maybe some examples from some other communities or some discussion about how evaluators are sharing their results with families at the meeting.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Heather. And I want to really encourage you to use that Universal Training Padlet as a way to share information about how you've used it. So you can even go on the Padlet and say, this is what I've done, this is what I've noticed I need, has anyone else done this? Because we're hoping that that's going to be kind of dynamic, and of course we'll be looking at it too to see, oh gosh, people are really struggling with this section or they really like this section. So thank you very much, Heather. Anything else? Okay. How about Jamie and Tracy?
Well, it's going pretty good. We had some questions for Layla last week about doing our entry and then doing exits and why we have to start at their chronological age when they've already been determined to have a delay.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of clarified some things for us, and we're coming up to doing some reviews of the global outcomes after 6-month review. Not all of our providers have had to do like OTs. They haven't had to do an initial yet. So we're just kind of.
You just haven't had a referral for them?
Yeah, where they're the only provider.
Lisa did one on established condition for me.
Was she okay?
Mm-hmm. She did good. Yeah.
So Jamie, were you the service coordinator for Lisa?
Lisa and I did one on established condition kiddo.
Okay, and you used the new form and the new process?
We did.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
And so have you guys done any more internal training?
Do we need?
Yeah, have you?
Oh, have we done?
Oh.
Uh-huh.
We review things quite often at our trans team meeting.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
We review things quite often at our
Oh, so you're using pieces of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a great use.
And then we also made our own little folders with the developmental stages, and then also all the Larimers, and then the trees, and all of that stuff. So then we even put tabs on them, color coordinated, so then when we're at the meeting, it's easy for families to follow along. So it's going pretty good, I think.
I think so.
Great, honest. That sounds great. So you made an age anchoring folder, sort of?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great idea.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All the providers, and then we make sure to take extra ones for the family. So it's been going pretty good, I think.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry we got a little bit of feedback here, so bear with us.
So Jamie, I think it might be your phone, so if you're able to *6 or mute your phone, that might be helpful. Thanks.
Okay. Melinda, how about you? Any new news with training or use of the Padlet, or things you've noticed about those recorded videos, or if you haven't had a chance to use them, how you've used the previous materials? That's great too. Did we lose you, Melinda?
Must have.
Okay. We're going to try and move on. And Alicia and Pat, tell us a little bit about the training materials. And if you haven't looked at them, that's fine. I do want to encourage you before our next community of practice call to look through those materials and try some of them out. I love that you were using them in your trans team meetings, Jamie and Tracy. I think that's a great idea to see, to try one of those modules out and see how they work, because we'd really like some feedback about the usefulness of that material. So anything, Pat and Alicia, that you've done as far as training? I know you've been doing a few things, Pat.
Yeah, we used the materials, the old materials.
Okay.
When we had a makeup session for the folks who couldn't come to the universal training.
Okay.
And we haven't brought any new providers on, so I haven't really had to train anybody, but we're going to be bringing on a full-time SLP, so I will definitely require that person to go through the new modules that you created, but I honestly have not looked at them.
Okay, that's great. I want to talk a little bit about how we designed those modules too. We've really designed them to be almost like an exact replication of the face-to-face universal training, meaning that we talk to the audience on those webinars just like we talk to you at the universal training, and you work through the case study and the activities. So when you bring someone new on, it's probably going to be most helpful if someone else participates going through those with her. I just think that they're fine. She can do them by herself, but it would be, I think, helpful to your new people to have an opportunity to talk through it after the activities with someone. So maybe even if you just checked in with her after she completed the module, so that she can ask any questions, because of course you won't have a real person there to talk to.
Right. Okay, that's great advice.
Yeah, and so like in the it's just a YouTube video that you're watching, and we'll say something like, okay, pause your video now and go ahead and work on this activity. And for some of you guys that had your universal training early on, we had the 3-ring binders, you know, and later on we ended up having sort of like a spiral bound book. And so we've posted that as just one single handout on the Padlet. So it's, you know, couple 100 pages or so, and the pages are all numbered, and you can print off whichever sections you want or need out of that, or if someone's going to do the whole training, you might want to consider printing off that whole booklet for them so that they'll just have everything all in one booklet, but all those handouts are all together.
Perfect.
So we have,
Thank you
just
for
so you know, Melinda figured out her muting situation, so she's back on you.
Hi, Melinda. We're coming back to you to just talk about the training Padlet, and if you've had time to look at it, if you've tried any of it, or if you have used any of the other materials we've provided for training.
Yeah, sorry, I fell into the 4th category, and maybe that's why my phone...
That's okay. Truth. That's good. I like it.
But, yeah, maybe somebody else had used it, and then I just tried to click on it to kind of get an idea of what was on there, and the link won't work, the link that I found in the email. So you have to figure that out.
Okay.
We'll check it and send it out again after the call.
Okay.
Thanks for trying that.
A lot on trying to make the miser work as the age anchoring tool. So yeah, we haven't really used any of the training materials now, but probably when we move on to training contract providers and home health agencies, we'll take a look at that. Hearing your description of it, you know, I was kind of hoping for more like snippets, and maybe that's what you guys are doing with the, you guys are calling together families and professionals and everything, maybe those kinds of things will be in those videos, but
just kind of thinking of people's time and, you know, how much energy is required to get it and to put in to make sure that they get it, you know, just kind of thinking of little, like, bite-sized pieces. So I'll be interested to see what it looks like. So
yeah, because, you know, Melinda, we broke each section down separately, so there's one video per section. So there's 9 sections, and each one has a video.
And how long is the video?
The videos are about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Bite-size is like no more than 10.
So here's what you do. YouTube lets you speed it up. You just make it go faster. Yeah, take a look at them. Some of them are quite short. Some are not. You know, there's times you could just do the activity. But some people wanted the whole thing, so they could do the whole thing. And then other people said, well, we understand this and we want to do, you know, infusing global outcomes language. We want to do our own training on that. We don't need anything from you. We just need the module on global outcomes. And so you can certainly use them that way as well. So take a look and see what you think. And then, Melinda, if you're like, yeah, but we just need a 15-minute thing, I'm not going to 10 minutes. I don't know if I can do it that fast. 15-minute thing on this specific item, that's really what our teams need. We'd love that feedback.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Melinda. And I know you have been doing a lot of training around, you did one on conversational interviewing, right, with family assessment?
Right.
And you've been working on the miser cost. And I think on our the slide later on where we just ask for general updates, I'd love you to talk a little bit about how you've managed to wrangle that miser cost in a little more usable format.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Melinda. Anyone have anything else to add to the training? Oh, Julie joined. Oh, Julie, hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Glad to hear your voice. Have you looked at the training Padlet yet?
You know, I have not had a chance to look at the Padlet yet. I have looked over we had the training with the 3-ring binder.
Right.
So I was re-looking at that.
Okay, well, take a look at the training Padlet, Julie, because I know you guys are gearing up to do a lot of training coming up in a few months.
Exactly. Yes. Yep.
So take a look at the recorded webinars and see how those would work. And I know you and I talked a little bit about you have a lot of internal training that you guys do at TRE and how you can revise those so that they're more relevant as you move forward for Go For It. So we'll work together on that. But take a look at those training sections and see what you think about using those for your upcoming training.
Okay.
And we are folding in our new EI fundamentals training, which is going to replace our core and IFSP trainings, our online trainings. The Go For It information is going to be folded into that, but it's not going to be exactly the same as the universal training. It's going to be talking about the IFSP process with that information as a part of it.
Okay.
So this is Pat, and I was wondering how the family assessment video that you were going to try to produce is coming along. I know that you had asked anybody wanted to volunteer to do that, and I didn't know if you would travel this far, but we were hoping that if you would travel this far and you wanted a family, we could find one, but that Laura would be the service coordinator on it.
I think that's a great idea.
That's really funny.
Well, I have to say that the people that are doing our new EI fundamentals course, they're video production specialists. that's how they started their company, and then they moved into e-learning and online training. And so they use a lot of videos in their training. And so the one that we were going to do ourselves kind of got put on the back burner because we realized that the quality that we would be able to produce would not be as high as what they're able to do. And so we didn't want to do double work without having that high quality. And so thank you for your offer. I think we could certainly consider that and have that in our back pocket. I know that we are recruiting currently families, service coordinators, providers, anybody who's willing to be interviewed about any of the IFSP process. We know that people want a real and high quality process, and we're really looking for real service coordinators and real families to be able to participate in this process.
I'm not real, I guess.
And so that it has been a little bit challenging to be doing the recruiting because we know that it's intimidating and it's hard. But I do want to say that if any of you have viewed the new telehealth training that just came out, they interviewed me and it was really easy. It was natural. It was very easy, and they were able to take what I said and put it exactly where they wanted it to answer whatever question they were answering at that time. And so I'm really encouraging people who might be interested in volunteering to do something like that to watch those telehealth videos because it really was a natural process and was pretty easy to do.
Well, and I think that, Pat, just thinking about your area, you know, when we did the family videos and we had interviewed people down in your area, I thought it was really impactful because we got to see that the variety of families that are present in our state and how important it is to really be individualized.
Yeah, so we will talk to our people productions people and let them know of your offer for that. That's super awesome.
Yeah, but Laura has to come with it.
This is Alicia, the service coordinator, and I just want to put in a plug for Laura again because I would be so happy to volunteer as a service coordinator, and I feel like I still my hope is to learn what
sure.
You know from you know maybe Laura, who's been doing it forever, because you are a real service coordinator, Laura.
Well, here's an idea, Alicia. If you volunteer to be the service coordinator, you and I could do some practice and one-on-one mentoring prior to that.
I'm in. That sounds great.
So think about that.
And we have noted your request for Laura, for sure.
Thank you.
Well, I think that our point is that we're not all that comfortable with it yet. So we're hoping that,
sure.
you know, when we watch this video, we can get pointers. And I don't know if we're the ones to be giving the pointers at this point.
Well, I think we talked about, too, I mean, that for sure is an identified need, you know, to have some real good information and training and real life, you know, videos regarding that family assessment piece. And, you know, I think I'm foreseeing the future with my crystal ball, so I might be way off base here, but that, you know, definitely is one of the things that I'll probably be helping to work on in the future. So
yeah, and I know that Heather and Callie from StarPoint are a couple of the ones that have volunteered, or maybe they were voluntold, but one or the other, to be a part of the process too. And I want to reinforce that we'll want multiple examples, multiple service coordinators, multiple families. We want people to see how these things can be different but still be effective.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for your input on that. We appreciate it. So our next thing is Monica.
Implementation plans. So I wanted to get some, wanted to get some information on where everyone is at with their implementation plans and the rollout of that. And mostly what we're interested in is what do you guys need to succeed? So are there pieces of information that you're missing or that you're needing? Are you just questions on any feedback for that process for you guys, challenges, but also successes? What things are going well in your communities and that are working that maybe you can share with everyone so that they can, if they come across that same obstacle, they can have success with that. So we'll start with Heather. Do you have any advice or any information you want to share with your implementation plan?
Well, I think with our implementation plan, we really had a lot of that sort of happened naturally right after the universal training. Just some updating things and revising some procedures and processes and timelines. And so we've kind of continued to just make that fit. We have also been playing around a little bit, as I said, with the handwritten form in a way to make that the most usable, so that you end up with something you can actually read to enter into the unicorn. And
by messing around with it, she doesn't mean she's changing the content, but she's making it more able to be recorded in a handwritten format.
Right.
Heather did run into some other things with the form that we'll discuss amongst our team.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I think overall, the thing that I find is the biggest success is on a couple of the annual reviews we've had. We had some families who sort of had been canceling kind of frequently, and when they actually saw age levels of the developmental delay their child had, about where they really were, they have been much more motivated, and we've had fewer cancellations.
Wow.
And parents have said, this makes so much more sense.
Great.
Now I understand how far behind he is.
Mm. Yeah, and you say, I know we talked a lot about this on our weekly phone calls. You gave me some more feedback from families too, didn't you?
Yeah, just that they really, the families that we're doing it with the first time, it seems to flow real naturally for the initials. And I think I find when I hear the provider that's with me at an IFSP reporting out, I think it's easier to capture it on the Go For It form than it was on the present levels.
Yeah, it was funny on our call, was it just this week, Heather said, oh, I had to do a review on the old form and it was horrible.
Yes, it was.
And so are you using this new process for all of your new, all of the new referrals?
All of our new referrals and all of our annual reviews.
Okay, great.
And some of the periodic reviews, but not the periodic reviews that this is the last one before the child ages out.
Sure, okay.
Great. Julie.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, Julie. Hi. Here I am. Okay, so implementation across, I know the North team, which is D20 and 38, it is definitely, I think, going well. And with communication with the school district in 20, improving the information we're getting from the evaluation is also improving. We're talking as far as with TRE how to roll this out to everyone. And so this piggybacks on the last discussion where I'm meeting with the lead service coordinators to try and to develop what is our training going to look like for the Go For It IFSP moving forward so that we can train all new staff going forward. So that's what we're in the process of trying to figure out. One thing I guess that's I foresee as a hurdle is we're trialing things up on the North team and in the Cohort implementation team, yet when some things are explained of what we're trialing, I just hear the comments from other geographical areas at TRE, well, that may work for your team, but I don't know if that'll work for my team. And so it's kind of trying to figure out how to navigate, we're trialing this for all of TRE.
Right, and that it will eventually have to be there.
Yeah.
It may
that's
have
tricky.
to be there, yeah. So that's my hurdle right now, or my hurdle.
Okay. Well, maybe we can talk a little bit more about, to brainstorm some ideas that might work.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
and I don't know all about all their communities, so we won't go too much into it, but I think, do you have representation from all of those different communities on your? No. Okay. So yeah, that's hard if they're not part of the decision makers or the players.
They have a ton
like 12, right? Yeah. So yeah, that could be a hurdle for sure, especially if you don't have input of people helping you make these process changes. So.
Right, exactly. So, yeah.
Alrighty.
Well, yeah, we may have to do some brainstorming around joint telephone meetings or something.
Thank you, yes.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
Okay, with Blue Peaks, Tracy and Jamie.
I just unmuted you, Jamie, so you should be good to talk there.
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know. We did change our timeline with BOCES so that we could get things more timely, and that seems to be working. We went back to the 45-day on our MOU, and that's working. Let me open my computer so I can look at the questions.
What do we need to succeed?
I think to be successful here, we just need to go through the whole process with everybody on our team. We have a pretty solid team now. I don't think anybody's going anywhere anytime soon. So once we can get everybody trained, where they're comfortable and they feel, good about what their feedback is, or when we're having a meeting, I think we'll be good at that point. But so far, everything's going pretty good over here.
Good.
All right. Pat and Alicia with Community Connections.
Yeah, well, we're kind of fortunate because we only had one AU to deal with, and they were really involved in the whole, training and all of the, Go For It committee meetings that we had prior to that. So we just.
She was brand new when that happened. Your Southline coordinator, right?
Yes, there were two of them for the two sides of the mountain, and they were both new and really embraced it and thought that, the universal outcomes or the looking at outcomes rather than domains was actually a good idea. And they had talked about how some of their wording is starting to go in that direction. So they really kind of embraced it. And so we just picked a date, and we said after the first of the year we're going to start implementing, and we did. And we're still kind of working through, how the process goes and trying to accomplish so much in one meeting, but I think we're getting there. And then we recently had a therapist retreat where pretty much all of the therapists that work for us pretty consistently. Some of the ones that are really part-time from the BOCES did not attend. Most of the therapists attended, and at the end, we had a mock IFSP and had them do the MISER or whatever tool they wanted to do, and do the show the COAST rating and that sort of thing. And I've sent out a survey after to see, and one of the questions was, I understand what I'm required to do at IFSPs, and I feel confident, or something similar to that. And I had 100% say yes, and I almost
That is great.
Because I thought, they looked kind of dazed and confused after the mock IFSP. So that was really encouraging for us.
That's a great success.
Awesome.
And I mean, not to be Debbie Downer, but I mean, in reality, this is Alicia. I think that we all have more. We're all getting in the hang of it, because I've done several IFSPs, and I'm like, whoa, oh yeah, we're all still figuring this out. But it was still a great response.
At least they think they know, and that's always. Confidence is a good step, right?
I think they didn't want to go through any more trainings, because that was part of it. I was like, I need more training, and they all said, no, I'm good.
That's funny. Okay. And then Melinda.
We are, like I said, working on, we have our team of employees in-house and our service coordinators that are rolling it out with initial IFSPs. And we're also trialing the service coordinator not being present at the evaluation. In both circumstances, we weren't getting enough information quick enough to really make decisions. So we decided to add another service coordinator that is going to not be attending the evaluation, so that we can see if that really has an impact on the IFSPs or not. And then we're also going to start using the SAFER and the Go For It process with the annual IFSPs, because initially we had just wanted to do it on the initial IFSPs to avoid confusion, but I think people are getting enough of a hang of it that they didn't seem too worried about doing it for annuals as well. So,
Melinda, can you clarify a little bit what you mean when you said you weren't getting enough information quickly enough, so you're having another service coordinator start? Not sure. I know what that's about, but I'm not sure everybody does.
Yeah, it's just we weren't getting enough IFSPs assigned to that service coordinator, so that we could see, is there a difference if the service coordinator is attending the evaluation versus not attending the evaluation, and the quality of the IFSP. Is the information that Child Find is gathering, is that complete enough? Is that then being followed through in the SAFER and clearly, linked, or does it seem like it's two totally separate processes? We feel like if the service coordinator isn't going to be there for the evaluation, we still want a smooth connection, and we want to see that in the IFSP. But we've only had, we have two school districts that we're working with, and so one school district we might have had one evaluation where that's happened, and so we can't really tell what's happening. So we just needed to get some more information. Then we ask the family some questions afterwards to just kind of get an idea. Are they feeling like they're a part of the team at the evaluation, or is it just completely overwhelming and we need to have the service coordinator there to kind of be the voice for the family? So just all those kinds of pieces to see. I know that as far as the service coordinator that is currently doing it and the Child Find team, they really like it. Like, it's easier as far as scheduling goes. Our service coordinator, we have an intake person, but for the service coordinator that's not there at the evaluation, she's now making that initial call to explain early intervention and obtain consent and to go forward. So she really likes being the first person calling it. Child Find likes that they're able to get a lot more developmental information with the service coordinator making that initial phone call. So, and the family also, she also reports that the family, you know, it's like one less person removed in the process. And so when she calls them back after the evaluation, you know, they know who she is and she's the go-to person, so they like that. So there's a lot of things that seem to be working, but we just need to have a little bit more information as far as is the information being passed on through the process.
Well, and Melinda, I want to give you and your staff a real shout-out, too, because I think you've done a really good job of making documents to accompany these changes. You know, you have a checklist for who does what if the service coordinator isn't going to attend the evaluation. And I think you've been really thoughtful about that in your community, which I think will lead to some really good evidence because your processes are going to be similar.
Yeah, and we're really trying to make sure we have, because we're so individualized and that's kind of at the forefront of our mind, I think we tend to do that, you know, each service coordinator is individualized, but with them not being there in so many different elements like this, we really want to find a process that works and outline that for them, and then this is the way that we do it, this part of the process. So.
Melinda, is that those checklists or some of the things that you've created, have you posted them on the Padlet for others?
We haven't, and we're actually, we had just met with the new service coordinator that's going to be trialing it, and there were some changes that we're going to make on it as well. But kind of as we iron those things out, we'd be more than happy to share those.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. You know, even if each community wants to change it to, you know, to be unique to them or fit them, it's a starting point. And
I am all about starting points. Let me tell
you.
I don't think inventing the wheel.
Right. So in that vein, would you talk a little bit about how you've made the Miser class a little easier to use? Because when I talked to Heather and Callie have done the same thing in StarPoint. So I just wanted you to tell us, because we know that one of the things we got as far as feedback with the Miser class was that it's just unwieldy. Mm-hmm. And so I know that you've put a lot of thought into seeing the valuability of that tool and trying to make it easier to implement.
So am I answering this, or is this for StarPoint?
You go ahead, and then StarPoint can chime in because they've done this pretty much the same thing.
So we copied the Miser and put it into an Excel spreadsheet. We originally worked on reordering it in order of routines, so that because what providers were saying is that, yes, it's separated by the three outcomes, but as you're trying to gather information during the SAFER, it was really hard flipping through all the pages, trying to mark things, and trying not to let the Miser dictate the interview. And so, you know, they weren't feeling like they were getting a lot of information. It was a lot of flipping back and forth. So we then tried to reorder them, probably against people's desire, to see if we could, you know, capture the information more easily if it was ordered by routine. But then the problem came, which is why the miser is set out the way it is. That came the issue of, okay, but then how do you regroup those things so that you can look at the independence or social or engagement areas and get that global picture. So it was kind of like, well, either way, you're going to be flipping back and forth through all these papers, and it's just confusing. And we were about ready to ditch the whole thing when somebody suggested, what if we put it on an Excel spreadsheet? So we put it on an Excel spreadsheet, and we don't know yet if it's going to work. We kind of had some issues with licenses on the tablets and all that. There's always things that come up. So we haven't been able to trial that yet, but the idea behind the spreadsheet is beforehand you can kind of cut out you can sort by the age and or filter by the age, and so if the child's 18 months old, you can take out all the skills that appear after they're 18 months old, and then you can fill it out. It's in order of routines, but then at the end, you can filter out and look at only social, and then so you can look at that global picture of social and kind of see where your boxes are checked, and then you can filter it by independence and the other outcomes. So we're excited to be able to try it, but like I said, we're having some issues with being able to use Excel on our tablets, and we're trying to work that out right now.
Yeah, I think that I was really impressed when you told me that, to use being not an Excel guru, I don't think I would have come to that myself, and the fact that you can resort things, so you can have it, you can hide things that you don't need that are out of the age range, you can sort it by domain, and you can sort it by routine, and you can sort it by global outcomes, depending on what you want.
I'm kind of a nerd with Excel, so I took it and I ran with it.
Yay!
Yeah, it's a great idea. It really is.
Heather, do you have anything to add? I know that you and Callie also put it into Excel, right?
Well, I just pulled up what Callie did, and actually it's in Word.
Oh, okay.
And what she did was really just made it smaller. So it's the same thing. It just is a lot fewer pages.
I see.
And that works too.
So I think that once you, Melinda, once you guys have the bugs worked out of this, it would be a wonderful thing if you could share it.
Oh, most definitely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And we're going to pilot the way Callie revised it next week.
Awesome.
So.
Great.
Okay, and just checking, did anyone from Rocky Mountain Human Services join the call? No? Okay, so we'll move on then. So the next topic that we just wanted to mention was that we have started the process of getting some key Go For It forms translated to Spanish. So we were interested in what forms, other than the IFSP, do you think are a priority that is needed for translation into Spanish? And, we're open to suggestions, and we understand that there is a need for this, not just Spanish, but other languages too. So, but once we do get that, one form or a couple forms, we plan on sending these directly to EI service coordinators that are listed as bilingual.
So make sure you've got that in the provider database.
Yes, because we'll be pulling that information. And that's just to help us make sure that the readability and understandability and is accurate. So another question is if anyone already has something that's translated into a different language, that would be helpful for everyone, to share or for us to receive also. So just a note on that. I don't think so.
So maybe just think about that, and then let us know by email or any way. Let your team lead know if you'd like one of those forms prioritized.
Prioritized, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so this is just a check-in. This is last minute. Anything else we haven't talked about that you'd like to share with your fellow cohort members? And Pat, I know that you already talked about your retreat and training and their IFSP reenactment. Do you have anything to add to that we missed?
I don't think so.
All right.
I think Pat, you did have a question about the fact that it seemed a little bit difficult filling out the global outcomes page during that IFSP meeting. Did you want to ask about that?
Yeah, maybe Alicia can speak to that since she's the one who does that.
Sure. And I mean, you know, I've my amount of IFSPs so far, Go for IFSPs, is limited still, so we're still working on the flow and everything. But we've had some discussion. You know, we don't want families to sign the IFSP until it's a finished document. And by the time we get to the global outcomes page, we're really reframing information we already have, right? Like from the family assessment, from the evaluation, and from the MISER or the, you know, whatever age anchoring. And so I'm finding myself furiously typing, and it can feel a little bit redundant talking about, you know, everything we've already talked about with the family, and I'm just furiously trying to write down bullet points or, you know, like filling out all of the different, you know, the different boxes of the global outcomes. And so we talked as a team with the other service coordinators about, you know, can we, like, how much is enough? Can we get a pretty basic summary and then fine-tune it after the family has signed the IFSP? Is that okay? Because I don't want that page to look schlocky or to not capture the information. But I'm finding that in the moment, in the IFSP, it can feel like it kind of rushed. And is this making sense?
Yes, and I actually got this same concern from one of the families, one of my communities that I'm lead for, and here's what we talked through, and this might be helpful. It's to think about that you are not reiterating things, you're summarizing them, and you're putting enough in there. Think of it as analogous to supporting evidence for the rating. Just like on the old form, you had to, you know, give a few examples of what you observed that supported that rating. The strengths and needs are very similar to that. So if you know a lot about how the child is engaging socially, just pick a few of those that show the strengths and the needs of the child, and that's what you put in there. And you can just really summarize it. Like if you know a lot about how he's interacting with his siblings, then just summarize it by, you know, something like, Joe loves to play with his siblings, positive. Joe often gets frustrated when he can't say what he wants during playing with his siblings. And
another thing you could do is just say something that's a strength that might be an age expected skill, or this is a strength, however, it's an immediate foundational skill. You could put those kinds of things in there, and so that shows evidence of age anchoring.
And it uses the word.
And it uses strengths and needs. And so you don't have to have very much in there, because then when you're looking at the decision tree, you're saying, you know, he's not using any age expected skills in this area. And so that helps us know that you've age anchored just by those few words in that.
I think people are getting a little confused about that because they're feeling like they have to put as much information as used to be in the present levels of development in the strengths and needs column, and you do not. It needs to be representative evidence that shows that that supports the rating the child has in that outcome. Does that help?
Like yes, so much. Like the rating is the point, not just a huge body of supporting evidence.
Exactly. Because you already have it already.
Right.
And in fact, people are getting so much more information in their family assessment that a lot of that information is in the family assessment. So you're just summarizing. Think of the global outcomes page as your way to briefly summarize things with the parent in order that they are able to participate in determining the rating.
Okay, totally. I think that's a great way to frame it. That is helpful for me. Thank you, guys.
That question comes up a lot.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so we're past our time just a little bit, so we don't want to keep you for much longer, but we do have our upcoming date. You guys are going to be going through the QIO, Quality IFSP Outcomes Tool Training sometime in May or June, and our data unit will contact you about that. And the next call, as we've noted, is April 20th. That's with all 3 cohorts. So we would like for you to think about what questions you have for Cohort 1, who are farther along than you, and to think about what words of wisdom you might give to Cohort 3, who are just getting started in this process, because that's going to be really valuable for them as well.
I'm really excited by you guys in Cohort 2. You've been so inventive and so thoughtful in rolling this process out. It's been a real pleasure.
This is just our little graphic about our call, so you can see that April 20th includes all of the cohorts. And you guys' last call is going to be in December, but after April, you guys are going to be skipping every other month. And that's all we have for you today. So again, if you have any questions, be sure to contact your team lead. We are happy and excited to help you anytime, and we thank you so much for your hard work that you're putting into this process. So we're going to let you go. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
I got hung up on the. I didn't change. I forgot.